Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Assemblymember Russell, for explaining our amendment, which I am proud to second. The part I'm going to focus on is what we want to do with reprioritising the investment into MOPAC. If we're truly committed to keeping Londoners safe, we need to invest in prevention and tackling the root causes of crime rather than relying on enforcement and surveillance. For too long, policing has focused heavily on low-level drug offences that do not make any communities any safer. The evidence is clear. Enforcement can't reduce harm or build trust in communities most affected. The Mayor's own London Drugs Commission, which came out last May, has recognised this reality and called for a shift away from criminalising cannabis, and also backed moving cannabis into the Psychoactive Substances Act, which is in effect a decriminalisation of cannabis. Last year, nearly 58% of all stop and search activities was for drugs, predominantly cannabis. The stringent stance on drugs is costing people's lives and leading to the criminalisation of so many young people. The Mayor's Commission proved what we already knew, that while black and brown people use cannabis at a similar rate to white people, black Londoners remain disproportionately targeted and are more likely to be stopped and searched for cannabis possession. The Greens have long called for cannabis to be legally controlled and regulated. Young black Londoners are over-policed and under-protected, and changing the way cannabis is policed will begin to address the injustice. Arresting, criminalising or punishing people who use drugs does not work. Studies show that criminalising people for cannabis possession means they're more likely to reoffend within 18 months, showing it absolutely does not work. I have a background in children's NHS commissioning, in working in public health and in adult social care. I've listened to families who've lost loved ones due to drugs, people who've been criminalised, public health experts and academics, and they all say the same thing, that this current approach is not working. Drug policies that prioritise criminalisation also represents a huge commitment of police time that could be redirected towards tackling serious violence, exploitation and supporting Londoners. And that's exactly the kind of work that the Violence Reduction Unit leads on. Working with young people at risk, supporting victims and addressing the root causes of violence in our communities. Deprioritising cannabis policing is about being smart and evidence-led. It means focusing resources on proven prevention and intervention efforts that truly keeps Londoners safe. This amendment puts prevention first, prioritises supports for those most at risk and ensures funding goes where it can make the biggest difference. And that's why I'm proud to support it. This part of our budget amendment would be funded by reprioritising the increase in council tax allocated to the MOPAC budget. We would put £5 million of extra funding identified by the Mayor into youth services through the Violence Reduction Unit and provide an extra £5 million of funding to the MOPAC for their commissioned services. The next part I want to speak to is our focus on renters. So London's renters are being deeply let down. The Renters' Rights Bill does nothing meaningful to address affordability for London's nearly 3 million renters. We all know how difficult it is to be a renter in London. Communities are being displaced, people are leaving the cities, families finding it harder and harder to live here, and schools having to close as a result. We know the long-term solution is more council homes, but in the short term, we need to bring rents under control. Public opinion shows overwhelming support for the capping of rents. In the recent YouGov polling showing 78% for support, with nearly half of those saying they strongly support this. These figures show clearly that Londoners are worried about rising housing costs and want stronger protections against unfair rent rises. Organisations like Acorn and London Renters Union already fight for Londoners every day, helping people understand their rights and holding Londoners to account. Like landlords to account. The Mayor promised in his 2024 manifesto to back renters' unions, to give Londoners advice, guidance and real support, yet no funding has been provided for unions, and this budget still leaves that promise unfulfilled. Without these unions, renters struggle alone. Funding of $250,000 would let them expand this work, hiring staff, taking on more cases and running awareness campaigns so renters actually know the protections in the Renters' Rights Act gives them. London still doesn't have a renters' commission that the Mayor promised nearly 7 years ago. A proper commission would bring together renters, unions, experts and community groups to explore real solutions to the city's affordability crisis. I hosted a rent commission in my first year and showed the need and the appetite to have this kind of discussion across a number of groups. We need the Mayor to finally take leadership on this and to form a commission to tell the government what London renters need, devise a formula to improve affordability and show what economic model of rent control would work for Londoners. It would be led by people with lived experience. These amendments are about keeping the Mayor to promises that he's already made around policing and around renting and give Londoners the tools they need to live in a safe, secure and affordable home and city. Thank you.